Welcome back to another episode of Learn With Us. Today we are learning from the great psychologist Gabor Mate, and he's teaching us how to find yourself, your authentic self, when you feel lost.
It's the wisdom worm.
God.
Hello, I'm the wisdom worm.
There was such a squirm in there.
God.
You already are authentic. You can't not be authentic.
Oh.
You're just not in touch with it. And we have all these defenses and all these mechanisms with which we keep from being authentic, like being nice all the time. It's not a question of jumping in, it's a question of uncovering through patient and compassionate, kind self-observation, the way in which you're...
Whoa, quick trigger.
Okay.
Quick trigger.
I've been coming across content distinguishing kind versus nice, and I'm wondering, have either of you heard about that differentiation?
Nope.
I would call them synonymous.
Okay, and I think most people would.
Mm-hmm.
And
But you're wrong.
yeah. But nice, I've learned, comes more from a people-pleasing background where you're trying to be pleasant and make sure that whoever you're in an interaction with is having a positive experience, which is nice, which is very nice. It can be very thoughtful. Kind, on the other hand, doesn't come from like a service to others in that like more performative way. Kind might be telling your friend the hard truth, and it might be consoling them when they're having big feelings, or sitting with them through tough times after telling them the hard truth. But I think there's something a lot more real and genuine and open about kindness that niceness doesn't go as deep into.
I was about to say, it sounds like nice is the surface level of kind.
Yes, tip of the iceberg, and kind is the submerged iceberg.
Oh.
Submerged bird.
I'm about it.
Not being authentic. So one spiritual teacher says that liberation is not some great thing that you achieve all of a sudden. Liberation happens every time that you realize that you're not your personality. There's always fear in moving towards authenticity because we've been taught since children to be afraid of our authentic selves. Because if we're our authentic selves, we're going to lose the world. That's the fear. There's always going to be fear there. And that fear has to be confronted. It has to be recognized, understood, and accepted. And Socialized said, the biggest stresses of human beings are emotional ones. The biggest stress of all is trying to be who you're not. But how long ago did you find that out? You're still learning. You're still learning. So instead of being frustrated with yourself about, like when you say, why am I still like that? Now there's two ways to ask that question. If you say, why am I still like that? If I said to you, why are you like that? Is that a question or a statement? It's a statement. And what is the statement saying? You're not good enough. So when you ask it like that, you're accusing yourself. You're not actually asking a question. You're making an accusation against yourself that you're not good enough. There's another way to ask the same question. I could ask you, gee, I'm curious. Why do you do that? Why do you like that? Well, what do you suppose, is behind that? Is that a question or a statement? That's a question. Which one do you think you're more likely to answer? If I say to you, why do you like that? Why are you still doing this? Or what if I said to you this? You say this, you're 30, and you're an intelligent woman, and you've learned all these things, but I'm noticing that despite what you learned, you're still doing some of the same things that you used to do before. Now, why do you suppose that is? Now, that's a question. Which one do you think you might more open up to? The first way of putting it or the second way? So that the first thing is, you got to ask yourself the right way. In other words, you have to ask it with compassion. Remember I said compassion for yourself. Compassionate curiosity. You say, why am I like that? That's not a question. That's a statement. I already know. I'm like that because I'm not good enough. But if you ask it compassionately with curiosity, then you might be able to come up with the answer. So I suggest...
Got it. of that yum yum.
Yeah.
Filling goodness.
Gabor Mate coming in hot.
Scrumptious.
Gabor Mate.
Wow. That when he was saying those things, I was even thinking, because there's definitely a lot of times with self-talk that I get that,
Yes.
but I also definitely get it with external people.
Mm-hmm.
That like I look at the people around me and I think, why the hell are you doing that? A lot of times it just stays in my head.
Mm.
And I had this interesting conversation with a close family friend who's really like been influential in my life, and she's an Ayurvedic practitioner, so she like studies Ayurveda, which is the Indian health sciences that are the oldest health sciences we know on the planet at the moment. It's like 5,000 years old, and one of the things that we were talking about this weekend was our ego, and she was like saying how our ego is our like those thoughts about like why are you this way. It's all of our judgments that are influencing the way that we're viewing the world. It's like our lens that we're viewing the world through, being our ego. And that in Ayurveda, what they teach is that your ego is only there for you to understand the world better, rather than anything else, which I find a very interesting take, that like all of the external judgments I have are truly judgments that are just happening within me, within my ego, that is built up in some way so that I can learn and understand more about myself, and that my reactions to the outside world are opening up more of those ideas, which I thought was kind of another like compassionate way to look at a situation, where when I judge someone else, I'll get mad at myself for judging someone else, and that doesn't help anything. But then when I go, what is this judgment? Where does this judgment come from? Then I feel like I can start actually seeing and like dissolving the judgment, because I get to experience the judgment fully and be like, oh, I'm judging them because of this. And usually we would think that that's wrong, to like go deeper into the judgment and be like, no, why? But really it feels like that's the only way through, in my experience.
Yeah, and in psychology, the ego is this defense mechanism that builds up from when you're a really young age and start to learn about the hurts that you experience in the world. Like someone in your family dies, and ouch, that really hurts your raw, vulnerable self. And so you build up kind of like this wall to like cope with the world in a way. And the ego is something in psychology that a lot of professionals recommend that you go deeper into and rework, like, why am I so critical of this person? Is it because they have a quality that I have that I really don't like, and so I'm just projecting it onto them? Or there's so much you can learn through the ego, and a lot of it starts with questioning that why. Yeah.
I had something to say.
Do you still?
And it's like right above my head. It's right there. Oh. Interesting thing about judgments. That it feels like no matter what, my mind is gonna be saying things. I can't turn that off. But what feels really good to me is like having me on the inside being like the crossing guard of like okay, we don't need to go any further with that judgment. Get out of here. Take a right. Take a right.
Take a left, because that's not right.
So true.
Oh,
Unless I'm dancing and then I like do a shimmy and then and I'm like not facing them anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Acceptable.
Yeah.
Acceptable.
Or if I really want to own, it almost feels like not a judgment if I notice something. Say like a politician that's doing something crazy. You could like sit there and be judging them constantly, or you could see something, know it's not okay with you, and just be like, that's stupid, or that's not okay. It's not okay with me. And then just like, you like cut it right there because you don't have to do anything more. You just like say what needs to be said, and then you like come on through, and they just come on through and then they go.
Clean judgment.
But not ruminating.
Not ruminating. Yeah, I think that the ruminating feels like where the judgment really sits for me and grows, and it doesn't even feel like a judgment if it's like something that I notice, and then I just like can just like bluntly say the thing if it needs to be said. You know, that's where the crossing guard comes in. But yeah,
that also made, when you said that and the judgment growing on the inside, reminded me of this thought I had a couple weeks ago where I was realizing with a certain person in my life right now that I am like an idea in their mind that has gotten very tarnished because I haven't been able to interact with them for a long time. And it's super weird because that will happen between the two of us, and then when we see each other, it's like there was no problem. We're able to like talk for 10 minutes, say the real stuff, and then it like resets our opinion of each other.
Yeah.
Because it's just that you don't have all this time where like the few things have like built up, and I think that with like more intense relationships, especially like partnerships in your life, that can be the most intense, where like this person really becomes an idea in your mind.
Yeah.
Especially becoming like an archetype in your mind that pops up in your dreams, and that and it's like all this baggage around this one person, but it's not the person playing with you anymore. It's you playing with yourself in the shape of that person.
Wow. That hit.
What if that's what sex was? It's you playing with yourself in the shape of that person.
Right, we don't need to go there.
It's the universe, man. We're all one.
We don't need to go deeper. But that I've actually been feeling very similarly that it feels critical in all relationships, but especially romantic relationships, to not put someone in like not have someone be an idea. Like actually really dedicating myself to figuring out what they are to me, how they make me feel, like just like the really grounding things, like feelings can feel very grounding to me because they always feel true and they always lead me in the right way,
and being open to them changing. That's
yes.
a crazy one too,
and that's the coolest one for me. Like, because I love the way that those flow.
Yeah, like
inside of me.
Can you love someone's essence to the point where they can change and you still?
Oh, gorgeous.
Oh.
All right, Gabor Mate, that was some really good thoughts. Let's see where he goes.
So every time that question comes up for you, ask it with that compassionate curiosity, rather than as a self-accusation. Then the answer will come to you. Because otherwise, because if I attack you, what are you going to do? You're going to defend yourself. But if I treat you with compassion, you're going to open up. There's a spiritual teacher who says that only when compassion is present will people allow themselves to see the truth. So if you want to see the truth, you need to be compassionate with yourself. So if we want to overcome our habit energies, for you to suppress yourself in the presence of some people is just a habit that you've learned very early in life, that before you had any choice in the matter. It's ingrained in your brain. The brain circuits are telling you that if I'm authentic, that's not good. Those are your habit energies. So that's an automatic behavior for you. And that automatic behavior is there despite what you know intellectually, despite what you learn. So those habit energies in certain situations will get triggered unless you train yourself very patiently. I mean, you wouldn't expect to go into a gym and press 150 pounds on the first day. You're gonna press maybe 25 pounds. So right now, you're pressing maybe 75 pounds. You're gonna press 150 pounds, you have to train yourself some more. Overcome those habit energies. How many of you would acknowledge that at one time or another in your life you had an addiction? What did you get from it? What did it do for you? Temporarily, that you wanted to create. What was the benefit, the so-called benefit that you got from it? Pleasure is something we all want. In fact, it's necessary for life. The real question is, given God's green earth and everything in it, why did you lack pleasure in your life? Numbing. When do people have to be numbed? So you go to the dentist. So you're gonna have pain. So it's a response to pain. And comfort, again, is something that's a totally normal human aspiration. The problem is that you're in so much discomfort that you don't know what to do with it. And so we see that the addiction is not a choice that you made, nor is it a disease that you inherited. It was an attempt to solve a problem. The problem of pain. So you have to be numb.
Yeah.
Juicy juice.
Solution to a problem, that is the compassion mindset for addiction. Like this guy just spoke into existence what the whole compassion mindset is. I think.
Wait, say that again one more time.
So, Gabor Mate?
Yes.
Gabor Mate just conceptualized addiction as trying to solve a problem, not a disease or something inherited or like, you know, a bad choice maybe. And I think those things are often what many people associate with addiction, like bad choices and or you're a bad person or you don't have discipline or et cetera, et cetera. And regardless of if any of those things are true for whatever individual, Gabor Mate used the curious compassion that he was talking about and said, oh, it's actually a solution to a problem, whatever that problem may have been, regardless of how effective the solution was. Addiction is to numb the pain. And I'm sure viewing it in that light makes dealing with addiction a lot less shameful.
Absolutely.
I feel like addiction has a way stronger grip on you if you're viewing it as addiction. If you're viewing it as this like big thing that's holding you down versus viewing it as like, this is something I'm doing right now because it is helping me solve a problem, and I understand that I can be open to other ways of solving this problem.
Yeah.
I have had a very similar experience in my, like, you can be addicted to anything. So it's like I've never had a drug addiction, but I have had and still like deal with addictions of some sorts. And something that's been really, really cool for me is putting as little effort as I can on what we would call the addiction, and as much effort as I can on exactly what he said. Why am I operating from a deficit right now? Because I only am addicted to something if I'm operating from a deficit. And so the addiction doesn't even need to be looked at like from my lens. It's about why am I feeling this deficit? And if that is fulfilled, if that is made whole, that feeling of deficit inside of myself, then the addiction is absolutely, there's nothing to it anymore.
Oh, I love that. You're getting at the root.
And it's not,
Let's say healing at the root.
And I feel like so much of like people going sober is like, can be so helpful, but is just abstinence. And so you're just starving yourself, because I've tried that for so long, like starving myself of this craving that I have. And then I'm just walking around still starving and still operating from a deficit.
Because you still have the craving.
Yeah. Zingy. Woo! Dude. Yeah. I thought so much about this too.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Spicy.
Damn.
Yeah.
Good words, Mitch.
Thanks.
Good words, Mate.
Hey, good words, Mate.
Tess.
Yeah, it was actually so cool. It felt like
I just went on a train just following all
he
three of
just
you.
he just like said like so much of what I've like inquired about and experienced, and it was like really cool. It was just like I've never listened to this guy. I've seen him a bunch or like heard about him, but it's just like, oh damn, you've done some inquiry. Yeah.
This man's gone deep.
Let's get it.
The problem of lack of pleasure, of alienation or boredom, the problem of discomfort. If we want to understand why you lack comfort, why you lack pleasure, why you have pain, we have to look at your life. And these factors always goes back to childhood trauma in every single case.
Every single case.
This is what we don't learn. We don't learn that human experience is shaped, or human functioning is shaped by human experience in the world. Yet another study talking about pain that shows that people with average childhood experiences are much more likely to have chronic pain as adults. And I could go into the physiology of that, it's very straightforward, but nobody teaches you that. So all you see is a drug seeker. You don't see a traumatized person whose physiology is responding
Damn.
to painful childhood experiences. The difficulty that we have is that we have trouble understanding people with different formative experiences than ours.
Oh.
And precisely because if I look at something like addiction, it really is a matter of a spectrum, and we're just about all of us are on the spectrum. But precisely because we're all on the spectrum, and we think we could deal with this in our own life, we say, well, why couldn't they deal with it? They don't. We're full of judgment. Why couldn't they deal with it? If you've never been profoundly depressed, you don't have an idea what it's like to be depressed. You have no idea what it's like to have life be utterly drab and meaningless and threatening to the point that you might even want to leave life, to the point of trying to kill yourself. Because it is on a spectrum, and we've all felt down sometimes. We've all felt alienated sometimes, but we snapped out of it. And we have no idea what it's like to be deeply into it, where choice no longer exists. And so we have great difficulty understanding people whose brains give them a different experience of life. If you look at what actually triggers stress, the significant factors that trigger stress are uncertainty, lack of information, and loss of control. Now, what happens in a culture where the economy is going on the tube, where decisions are made far away by people who don't even know you, and you don't know who they are?
Damn.
And your life is very much affected by these large forces over which you have increasingly the sense that you have no control or even influence over.
Damn.
Because a lot of people are going to be stressed. A lot of uncertainty. A lot of people are going to be stressed. And that stress then will lead to addictive behaviors. That stress then will lead to parents passing that stress on to their children. So stress has three components, and this is maybe the takeaway.
Let's take a breather.
There's-
Oh my god. How do you have such a steady stream of bars like that?
This might be
One
cut
after the
together
other.
from multiple lectures, is what I'm thinking.
Oh, that's.
But
I
still,
hope so.
I've heard him talk, and
Dude.
he's got bars.
This is crazy.
There's so much in this.
There's so much in this.
Gabor Mate, this man.
Wow.
What struck you the hardest there, Tess?
Dude, I'm still thinking about earlier what Mitch said about getting at the root of an issue, and also I don't remember exactly what Gabor Mate said on that, but I feel like he expanded a little bit, and it makes me think about in Denmark there is like a pretty profound socialized healthcare system. And in one of my classes, I visited an intravenous drug user treatment center. And the way that they treat addiction there is not by, there's no like requirement for abstinence or even waning the use of the drug.
Whoa.
They actually offer like methadone.
Methamphetamine?
No.
Oh.
No, that's straight meth. Like meth. I think it's like methadone.
That
or
was my
or
favorite.
something like that. And so they provide a drug that feels good and also is easier to get off of, but they provide a drug and they provide housing, food, gym, wellness centers, music room, activities, things that will hopefully reach the source of the pain, providing a community for these people,
Critical.
counselors.
It's like the only way to do rehab.
Yes, and it is a holistic way of viewing addiction, and the studies show that it is incredibly successful long term. for long-term rehab, the quality of life for these individuals who have been using drugs intravenously, who've been on for decades perhaps, go to this treatment center, and they may or may not be using drugs at the end of it, but their quality of life has skyrocketed after. And I think that is a beautiful example of this curious compassion of looking at why are you in pain, why are you using, and giving you all these options: physical activity, music, community, food, housing, etc.
Yeah. One thing, I'm going to give you an for that, because that was tasty.
Yeah.
But something that struck me throughout that was when you said long-term prevention. And this is something that, was it this episode where I was talking about my family friend who does Ayurveda?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think that was in this episode. Family friend studies Ayurveda, and the biggest thing about Ayurveda that she says is interesting about working with people in the United States, especially where we're from in the United States, is that in Ayurveda you come in with a sickness and they say, okay, you are going to take these herbs every day for a year.
Whoa.
Wow.
And at the end of the year,
Whoa.
you are going to be 30% better.
Wow.
And then you're going to do it different set of herbs for another year. And then you're going to be 30% better on top of that.
Wow.
And then it's like, but this is a 2-3 year process. So then after 3 years or whatever, you're at 90% health. You've almost fully eliminated the thing that was ailing you. But it's a 3-year process. But it was using only plants. And we're used to, give me the fix right now. And building community, building trust, filling a feeling of lack that we grow up with takes time. But it's like, if you get in and do it, 2 years is nothing. Like I've been rapping, freestyle rapping since the 9th grade on like bus rides. And over the last 3 years, I've been rapping and doing like vocal exercises pretty much every time I get in the car.
Yeah.
And now I can just rap like a machine.
Yeah.
But it took that long. It does take 3, 6, 9 years. But then you get a level that is 9 years deep.
Yeah.
Which you could never get in a week.
Yeah.
It's just
no matter
impossible.
what.
Yeah. Long-term sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be hard to face that sometimes.
Yes.
Like, this is going to take this long, or I don't know how long this is going to take.
Yes.
But I'm going to dedicate myself and commit to it anyways. That's scary.
And I'm going to heal it at the root.
Yeah.
Like, that's the real dedication is like...
Like, pills are something that you take internally, but it feels like it's just external help. Like, if you have if you constantly deal with headaches or something and you just take something for the headache just to ease the pain, it like you take it internally, but really it's just a Band-Aid, and you're gonna have to keep taking it again and again and again for your whole life. Whereas it sounds like you could probably heal some of those things through plants and take them for 3 years or whatever, but be a sustainable solution where maybe you don't have to do that for your whole life.
And daily practice. And I think the coolest part is that you do feel yourself grow every day. It's not like that first year where you get 30% better. Think about 30% over a year.
Yeah.
You're feeling like 1 or 2% every week. Every few weeks, you're like, I am better than I was last week. I'm better than I was yesterday. And like sometimes, obviously, it's like a few days are really good, one day goes down.
Yeah.
But then it's just that kind of process. I think it's a really beautiful point that you made there.
Yeah. Like for me, I get chronic migraines, and that was crippling for me in like 2019. And to the point where like I started getting them like once a week, and it would just take me out for the whole day. Like it was just like, or I'd struggle through the day and then feel like very sick at night. And I
And you'd be like lights off in your bedroom throwing up type sick.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
sick.
Like for hours, and then I'd like sleep it off. Luckily, wake up the next day. And, like,
That was when I first got to know you too.
yeah,
Like,
it was.
so
I was
like, saw
deep
that.
in it. Yeah. And then my mom opened up about this person. His name's medical medium Anthony William. He says that he gets medical advice from a spirit. Real cool. And I started implementing just a couple things from him, mainly like lowering my fat, and it went from 1 week to once every week to once every month.
Just by lowering fat.
Just by lowering the fat, and like over time.
Lowering fat in your food.
Yeah. And over time, it's just changing my diet, and over time, I've implemented more and more things, and there have been some moments where I wanted to go all the way and like do everything like hard, full on, and it just never works out. And like life has forced me to. This has been like what is it now? 2024.
Yeah. 19.
This is a 5-year journey for
Yeah.
me so far, and I still get migraines, but I've come so far from where I started. And it's like, no, I'm not fully healed. I don't even know if I'm close. Probably not. But where I've come in these 5 years is so cool in terms of my health.
So worth it.
And so worth it, even if I just stayed here for the rest of my life. Way more worth it than where I started. Yeah. Same thing with like consciousness. Meditation. Like you're trying to approach a certain state. At least that's me. But every step along the way is like I open just a little bit more. It's not like nothing and then everything all of a sudden. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of circles back to the beginning of this video where it showed like an image of the Buddha, and he said, I don't know if it was talking about the Buddha specifically, but he said there's a spiritual teacher that says enlightenment doesn't happen in one day. Enlightenment is a process of every time you realize you're not your personality. And that like just creating that time-to separation, one moment.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things about life. Like, we all have set baselines, genetics, sure, like for different domains, for different skills and predispositions, but there are so many things in life can absolutely be trained and learned, including stuff about your personality or health or things that don't seem like they would be changeable. But so much is in your control. So much, as long as you are disciplined about it and commit to your future self.
Yes.
It's just something that I'm learning from you about committing to your health with the diet that you're on that makes you feel so much more like a full human being.
Yeah.
Bars?
Yeah.
Shall we jump in?
Yeah.
Let's eat it.
Still got like 3 minutes left of this guy.
Okay, strap in.
The external event called a stressor, it depends on the individual of how they perceive and experience a particular event. So the first component of the stress reaction is the event. The third and final component of the stress reaction is the physiological stress response, with the adrenaline, the cortisol, and the nervous system, and the gut, and the heart, and really the whole body. But in between the external event and the physiological reaction is what we can call the processing apparatus. And the processing apparatus is you and I, with our particular interpretations, our beliefs, usually unconscious interpretations, unconscious beliefs, internal emotional dynamics that we have no control over, until we become conscious of them. So really the whole point of this talk is to become conscious of what's happening inside us. But you see, we all tell ourselves these stories, and these stories often run our lives. And to the extent that they're unconscious, and to the extent that we keep suppressing ourselves for the sake of attachment, for the sake of being accepted and loved and respected and accepted by others, and we're disconnected from our true selves, to that extent we're stressing ourselves, and to that degree we're actually making ourselves sick. And from that point of view, illness comes along to teach you something. Now, I'm not inviting you to get sick to learn this lesson. Nobody wishes that on anybody else whatsoever. What I am saying is that when illness does come along, or when they did get sick, rather than just simply see it as a calamity to battle against, they also saw it as an opportunity to learn. Mm-hmm. And what people keep learning over and over again is how they had not been themselves. Illness came along to bring them back to themselves. Oh. That's what they keep learning. Nobody should be a passive recipient of everybody else's care. We need to regain that sense of agency. There's that sense of agency of actually making the decisions and actually looking at our lives and our patterns and our dynamics and really being courageous about that and being open about it and being supremely curious and not judging ourselves. Oh God, I failed, I was too nice, I pushed myself down. No. But ask yourself, okay, why was I doing that? And do I really need to do that? Am I still really that infant, a young child, who needs to choose attachment over authenticity? And yes, I may lose some friends who are used to me being this particular way, and that's what they signed up for. But my true friends will celebrate me. And the biggest stress of all is trying to be something other than who you are. So if this takeaway lesson here, it's get to know who you are and be who you are. The true self, the authentic self, is never lost. In fact, there's a very interesting word that we use when it comes to illness or addiction. What's the word that we use when people get better? They recover. What does it mean to recover? Well, if you find it, means it will never be lost.
Yeah, wow. Oh, recover.
Woozy.
Let's do this at the same time.
Yeah,
It's not good.
I have a couple of thoughts.
That's a first ever. Bars and at the same time.
He deserved it.
Well, he did.
He did.
Shout out.
First thought is that I wish that my dad and his fiance could watch this and understand it. Because I feel like I had this inclination, like I wish my dad knew all this and felt it. And his fiance, who I spend a lot of time with. But I know that even showing it to them, it wouldn't hit. Like they would need to understand it. That's one thought. Put that aside. Second thought is talking about you get sick and you allow it to teach you something.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Bro.
What?
No, go. I'll tell you after.
Ramana Maharshi has this, who's a Indian. He's a guy. He's a real one. I traveled to India to go check out where he lived, so it says what he means to me. Someone came to him and was like, something along the lines of, Ramana, why, if there's a God, why would he let us suffer? And his line was, suffering is the only way to God.
Whoa.
And I'll just
Leave that one there.
just leave that one there.
Suffering
Damn.
to God.
Oh, what?
Time.
Didn't.
There it is.
Oh.
What I was gonna say when that came up was that I wrote a song yesterday. Check out the Hip Hop Wizard. That's where I'm making music, and the whole point of my music is making spirituality fun and practical. And it's a lot of hip hop shit. But I was in the car freestyling the other day, and this rhyme hit me. I was just like, nothing other than your mind is sharp. Nothing pointless if your mind is sharp. Nothing's pointless if your mind is sharp. Oh, nothing's pointless if your mind is sharp.
Whoa.
And I was like, whoa.
Whoa.
Nothing's pointless if your mind is sharp.
Whoa.
Then it's like getting sick.
It's a really good line.
Yeah. So that became the hook of this song.
Yeah.
The song's gonna be called "Nothing Is Pointless," but the whole thing that struck me there is like, if you get sick, and I told Mitch this the other day, I might have told you this too. I was sick for like 3 weeks when I was coming home from Germany. Family lives in Germany, and every time I get sick now, I'm reminded of this scene from Avatar where Zuko who like starts off as a villain and becomes a good guy needs to go through this.
Oh no! He did it. You hate it when people do that. You hate it when people do that.
Such a bad day to have ears for me.
Oh no!
That's heartbreaking.
Tess is like 9 episodes into Avatar. No! Tess!
It's okay, I'll probably forget.
Okay.
I'm pretty good about
Move on.
I'm quick to move on. Anyway, there's a scene where he gets sick, and his sickness is him like going through a deep transformation of self.
But he's like feverish, like for
He's
like
like
in his
really
body.
sick. And it just every time I get sick now, I imagine that I'm in that scene.
Yeah.
And it's like something so painful, so shitty, where you just like can't move all day, can't think clearly. Seems pointless. Seems like the most pointless thing. But if you're truly sharp inside of yourself, you just look at that experience and you're like, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm healing, nothing's pointless if your mind is sharp.
Mm-hmm. I'm still thinking about how you deserve a spanking.
I do deserve a spanking. I deserve a big spanking. Both of you can spank me after this episode.
All right. Yep.
Have you guys heard of our only... what?
Yeah. We might need to end this video and just take care of business.
Yeah.
Oh no!
I'm so nervous.
Why end the video?
Oh. Tess with the big ideas.
Wow. Shout out Gabor Mate. Do you guys have any other videos by this man? Because that was juice.
He spanked us.
He spanked us with knowledge.
That was almost too constant.
Yeah.
It was like...
Yeah.
I'm still holding on. Wow. Good looks.
All right.
What? Hey! Peace.
Alright, that's all we got.
And much love.
Much love. Wisdom worm out.